Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bobbin's playthrough of, what is this? Factorio C block. It's Factorio 0.16 and the current, as of the posting of the video, variation of the C block mods. I'm Bobbin, and this is episode 7, and I'm going to start with a little bit of show and tell. If you've been keeping up with the episodes, then you have probably already discerned that I increased my green algae production and associated production of wood pellets. I did it off camera because I had already indicated how I was going to do this in the past. I basically doubled this half right here onto this side, and I reversed the positioning of the liquefier and the assembling machine. These assembling machines don't actually quite keep up with the full output of the liquefier and the algae farm. They probably will once I can get them upgraded to the Assembler Mark II, and so I'm just going to wait until I do that. You'll notice that everything has caught up here. I did it this way so that it would balance the belt somewhat. However, I still found that because the components downstream don't draw equally from both sides of the belt, that it was a good idea to put in a balancer. So I went ahead and put in a simple balancer right there. So that is the first part of the show and tell tour going through here. The next part is, if we go over here, you can see that I have done some work on this bus. I added a new line. Obviously it's not really a bus right now. It's not transporting very much except for some fluids on one of the lines. And the reason for that, of course, is metals are a little scarce, and a bus is an iron hog. That said, I have made some progress. I've paved the locations for basically 12 lanes. In the future, this may get expanded. I don't know if I will make it wider going downstream, or if maybe I will make it wider going this way too. If that's the case, then I will probably move my electrolyzers and push those further out to make room. Now, on my electrolyzers, I did make a few changes. I moved them and changed. The reason I did it was I wanted to space them out a little bit better so I could manage a little better all of this mess of pipes over here on the bus. I decided that I just had too much going on there. And one of the reasons I wanted to do that was I wanted to go ahead and install 3 new electrolyzers. I want to double my electrolyzing capacity because at this point in the base, we're 17 hours in, 17 and a half hours. Really, I should probably be going a little faster. I have now underbuilt in the interest of overbuilding, and I'm going to go ahead and put down some new electrolyzers so I will have more materials coming in. Some of the materials are coming in rather slowly at the moment. So the new electrolyzers will just go in, let's see, there, there, and there. And I've already moved some stuff out of the workshop area. I moved this research out of the area. And I will hook these up and set up another crusher to handle the output from these 3 and join that up in here somehow to get all that crushed stone streamed off to where it needs to go. And that will go ahead and help my production. I'm not going to do it just this instant. One thing I am going to do just this instant is I'm going to restart research. So let me come over here, and this side gets iron. So I'm going to put in 2 stacks of iron and 1 stack of copper, since those are the proportions in which it uses it, and hook up the power on this. And I'm going to go ahead and start some new research. The research I want to start is, let's go into Research Queue to do that. And there's a little bit of a quirk in Research Queue. I noticed it has a bug. It will crash if you pick these weird ones. So let me go ahead and save the game before I do that. This is early episode 7. So save that game. And go back into Research Queue. The particular ones that I want to go ahead and get electronics, just this one. I want to get automation 2 and the electronics assembling machine both. I can't tell which one of those is which from this view, but I'm just going to pick them both. That's the assembling machine, and that's the automation too. Okay. And I also want to go ahead and get the this one, which is nanobots. Now I do have the early personal construction, basically the nanobot mod in here, so that I can go ahead and start using blueprints and so on pretty early on. It's a little expensive in terms of materials, but I'm about to ramp up my materials a bit, so I think I can probably afford it. It does not use green circuits. It uses the basic circuit board, so it is doable at this point. I'll probably have to set up and grow some more brown algae at some point to be able to keep those going. And then last, I am planning on doing some fuel storage at some point, so let me go ahead and do ore silos, so I'll have a nice big box that I can pile fuel into. It's not going to be right away, but that is sort of on the horizon. Now, I guess the other thing I should probably go ahead and start is I'm going to tell it to go ahead and research everything that it needs to get to the green science packs. Oh, it crashed. All right, well, let's go back in there and let's see here. That was why I saved it, because something might have a dependency on one of those others. So if we go back in here and load game, and I can pick that one again. Let's load. All right, we're basically where we were. I am going to go ahead and do what I had before, these machines, and let's see. There was also the nanobots and the ore silo, and I will wait until I can pick the other manually to get through that. If I knew which ones these were in the research window, then I could do that, but it just doesn't tell me enough. I think this one is probably going to be the lab one, because I don't see it in there, and it says lab. That one, I just have no idea. So we'll let that run for a while. Actually, we'll probably let it run indefinitely. Let's come down and look at another one. One of these lanes on the bus I have extended way down here, and it's going to be part of the next project. So let's come down here, and that next project's going to go in this area. And if you've been looking closely at my toolbar and know this essential layout, then you may have an idea what it is. But before I do that, I am going to put in another steam engine. So I went ahead and already made it. And this sort of horseshoe shape is because I've sort of defined where the layout's going to be. And this horseshoe shape is because these Mark II boilers produce slightly more steam than 2 steam engines will consume. So I'm going to put a third one up here, and then when I put in the next boiler and the next series of steam engines, I can put them up here, and it'll all connect up, and we'll have 5 engines on 2 boilers. And the extra space is not really all that wasted, because I'm sticking windmills in there to sort of fill it out. So I guess that doesn't really go there right now. It needs to come over here. So now we have 2 boilers going. We don't really need 2 of them. Our energy has been holding pretty well. It looks like that's probably from when I hooked up those, not really the science, more the electrolyzers, I think. Hard to say for sure. Something in red. I guess it is these little factories, these assembling machines maybe, that are for assembling the components. Anyway, I'm using more power. I have quite a backlog of fuel at this point. When I redid this, I didn't really redo it a whole lot. I did tweak it a little bit. I moved this over one spot and rerouted the carbon dioxide so that I no longer have that sort of weirdness over here. But I did go ahead and insert in line a box to hold a bunch of extra carbon. So there's a big backlog on fuel there. I did remove the one that was up here doing wood pellets. I'd much rather have a backlog of the downstream material than the upstream, because these haven't been processed yet, and that has already been processed and is good to go. So coming down here to this new thing I'm going to work on, I need to do sulfur processing so that I can switch my metal production over to a more efficient process that will have a lot higher throughput. And so to get the initial sulfur, the only way I know to get your first sulfur is to go ahead and use washing. And washing is going to be useful for other purposes too. So I've gone ahead and set up placeholders for where these machines are going to go. And I'm going to need a water pump, which I haven't got out. But I have this pump that produces, this is the seafloor pump. It dredges up mud from the bottom of the ocean, I suppose is the logic here. We'll hook that up and we'll connect all these. The reason for the spacing between them is because eventually I'm going to want to tap off of the material they're producing. And I think in this mod pack we may be able to do it from the front, but just in general, if the recipes have not been changed to make that viable, then what you need to do is you need to go ahead and have some space between where you can grab stuff out of a pipe. Unless you want to do just a whole lot of extra processing. And so only the first step produces sulfur. It produces it in the form of hydrogen sulfide. I guess it doesn't say what that is there, but if we go in here, we can rotate this around. And if I have the hydrogen sulfide, it comes out of the opposite side from the water. So the hydrogen sulfide comes out of there, and I've set up a spot there for a chemical plant. And so we need hydrogen sulfide and oxygen. And if I come down here and plop that in like so, right there, now the hydrogen sulfide, when I fire this up, will go in there. Now, the output of this process also includes heavy mud water. Well, okay, it's making heavy mud water from viscous mud water. The heavy mud water we're going to put in here, and it's going to get turned into concentrated. The concentrated we're going to put in here, and it's going to get turned into light. The light we're going to put in here, and it's going to get turned into thin. And the thin we're going to put in here, and it's going to become saline. So we go through the whole process of all the water. There's a whole lot of extra water that goes in here. I need to rotate these around so that the water input is all on the top. And hook all these up. I'm going to need some more copper pipes, it looks like. The main reason for using the copper ones, I think I may have explained it before, is just that copper tends to be in surplus early in the game. It won't stay that way indefinitely, but certainly I can't be using iron, and I don't want to use stone because I have other uses for stone. And stone pipes are kind of slow. So we'll go ahead and hook that up. Now we just need to get our pump in here. So there we go. We have fresh water all the way through. We have viscous mud water coming in this side. We need power. So let's go ahead and string power along through all of this. Alright, so these should all be sort of working now. So it takes in viscous mud water and regular seawater, and it outputs heavy mud water, heavy mud water, mud, and hydrogen sulfide. Now the mud has a number of uses. At the moment, I'm just going to gather it up and use it all for landfill. Eventually, it's going to be used for agriculture. I'm not quite ready to do that yet, so that's going to have to wait. Let's go ahead and get the oxygen hooked up here. That's the reason I extended the bus all the way down like I did. So, plant the input and output are never on the sides you would prefer. This is sort of halfway on the side you would prefer, I guess. But we'll come through here and go all the way through all this stuff. Let's see how it is actually going to connect. You know, I think I'm going to use these. I'll have to redo all of them, but I would rather use these stone ones and get them all used up for this purpose anyway. Okay, oxygen's going to come off right here. No, right here. And I can't get it all the way across there, so I'm going to have to do basically that. And we'll put that there. And let's see, there we go. So we've got oxygen coming all the way through here, more or less. Yeah, let's... Alright, so this still doesn't have power because that pole apparently doesn't reach it. It certainly looked like it reached it. It does now. Okay, so we're generating sulfur, and for the moment I'm going to put the sulfur in a box. Eventually I'm going to want to put sulfur on the bus because it is our main source of sulfur for sulfuric acid. We'll also do recycling in the short term. I'm not sure. I think it will change over time where we're getting sulfur, how much we're needing, what we're doing with the wastewater, all of that sort of stuff. For the moment, I'm just going to put it in here. And the mud, I'm going to go ahead and make into landfill. This is probably not the most energy efficient way to make landfill, but you've got to go ahead and produce the sulfur anyway. So that is what I'm going to do. And eventually when I get all these windmills out of the way and have need of the sulfur upstream, I'll go ahead and put that on a bus. So I think I'd rather on this one go ahead and use the, and I'll have to make several of those. Okay, so we're going to pull it out. So we'll just be very consistent with our positioning. There, 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 and there. Alright, so we got all this mud coming through, and I said I was going to make landfill out of it, and then I decided to go and put it in a box. I am going to make landfill out of it. So that particular landfill recipe is under one of these. I don't see it under water treatment. Oh, yeah, it is. It's under water treatment. I'm going to get sand. You can make different types of it with this setup, so that gives you more flexibility if you want like nice grass. The one warning I would give you on that is that if you try to put anything other than sand down on top of this existing sand, it will consume the resource. So that is something to be aware of. And I will go ahead and just use that there. Oh, my power pole isn't going to reach, so I'm going to put two of them no matter what. Okay, fine. The other thing I've got to do is I've got to get rid of the saline coming out of here, and that is going to be, that is a circumstance for which I may not have left enough space, so we're going to have to crowd something in here. Eventually I'd like to, oh, I'm going to make another one. I don't really need another clarifier. Okay, eventually I will use the saline for various things that you use saline for. Probably the most immediate short-term one is brown algae. There will probably still be too much coming out of this process, But we now have mud coming through and getting made into landfill, and we have sulfur being produced here, which we will need for our metals processing. And the saline is just being thrown away, but it is a useful product at some point, just not right now. So we've got that piece set up, and we are definitely making some progress here. So we're making some progress on the electronics assembling machine there too. We finished electronics. What electronics did for us is it allows us to make a whole bunch of things, including these two different kinds of circuits, including green circuits. Now, to make these, we have to have tin and lead. So we are going to do some more metals processing, but that's the real goal here with the electronics. This metal mixing furnace is necessary for it. It is a nice furnace, aside from being needed for electronics, because it will let you set the recipe, which is pretty convenient sometimes, because normal furnaces don't hold the recipe. They just take whatever's in their input and smelt it. This one will let you be a little more specific as to what you want, which means that, like, inserters won't move copper into your iron furnace. That's an example of what might come up for that. We've got some time here. Let me go ahead and hook up these on camera. We'll go ahead and set some additional power poles to make some space here. And I am going to run out of pipes, I think. This needs the stone ones because I've used stone everywhere else. Let's go ahead and make some more stone pipes. I don't really think stone pipes are all that great, but I have plenty of stone and I can make it. Let's see. Make some undergrounds and some regular ones. And the undergrounds, we'll go ahead and start hooking up. And if I use the undergrounds, then I won't, then I can recover some wasted stuff here. So I won't have to wait on them as long. And there. So we go there, there, there. While I'm working on it, let me go ahead and clean this up. So there and there. This extra, there's an extra piece here because it sends over here to the liquefier. Alright, and that finished. The electronics machine, now we're going to get automation too. The electronics machine we got is nice because it is an early way to do some recipes, specifically those involving Bob's Electronics, that require 3 inputs before you get Automation 2. Automation 2 can be a little inconvenient for that, even though we're researching it at the same time. The Assembly Machine 2 that would enable you to do that has the unfortunate characteristic that it requires green circuits, and so you have to have some way to make them before. You could do them by hand. There's only like 1 or 2 components of it that you can't do by hand. I think the solder and the little resistors or whatever they're called. What are these? Basic electronic components. Alrighty, and now for the oxygen side of it. I guess I should have planned just a little better there. Alright, and let's see what we get on these. So this one down here needs power, the others not so much. Just positioning the power in the same place on all of them. We're going to need a few more belts, and we're going to need, we've got that machine, we've got the ore crusher. We're going to need some belts, we're going to need some splitters. We've got undergrounds if we need them. And we've got compact loaders. So let's go ahead and make a bunch of belts and make some splitters. Burning through the iron there. Good thing we're going to be scaling up our production. So I think maybe I'll put this down. Well, I think I'm going to offset it just a little bit, and that'll give me some room to put a belt in, as well as doing what I need to do here. So pull out, pull out, pull out. And all of this stuff with the crushing stuff, it's temporary. It's kind of a long temporary, it looks like, but it is temporary. And we'll run all that down there. And stuff it in here. And we're making crushed stone. And we will pull that crushed stone out. And this will really mess with my ratios for what I'm sending where, but I think that's not going to be a disaster. It will send half of this to, well, you know, I could keep the ratio. If I take and just run it in here, you can run into the side of these loaders like this, and it should just spit through. So it will still send 3/4 to here and 1/4 to there. Alright, so we're pulling out, pulling out, pulling out, pulling out, and here comes all this stuff through here, and it's getting crushed up. It's probably not going to be able to clear the backlog unless I make another one of these machines and do it manually. I will possibly do that between episodes, because really this ratio is exact. This has had like between 6 and 8 sitting in it for 20-30 minutes now. It isn't going up or down. It's a very exact ratio on these. 3 of these to 1 of these. So to clear out the backlog, I will have to create another one of these and crush it up myself, or I can just pocket the slag somewhere, I think. Doesn't matter how I do it, at least I'm getting more through. So that is all I really wanted to accomplish in this episode. Let me go ahead and cover a little bit in my notes about what is coming up, because I think that will be of interest. The next major thing is going to be to start metal production from slag instead of from this crushed stone. The metal production done from slag is more complicated. It involves the sulfur that we got today. It still involves the crystallizer, but there are some additional machines, and we've got to take and start cleaning up waste products. And so it is going to start becoming more complicated. It's going to require more space up here, so it's a good thing I've got landfill being made, because I'm pretty much out of it, and I'm going to have to expand some out here to make room for that. I'm going to start multiple lines of production for metals doing that. I don't know that we will have enough slag coming in to fully saturate that by any means, but I do want to start setting up some tin and some lead as well. Once that is in place, I'm going to have tin and lead, so I'm going to be able to do a few things that I'm unable to do without tin and lead, and that is basically green circuits and green science packs in particular. And the thing about the green science packs and the circuits is I don't anticipate automating them right away, but I am going to go ahead and make a few of them to start upgrading a few crucial machines and to start getting some key efficiency research. In particular, on the efficiency research, I want to get the steel production efficiency research, because right now if I smelt some steel from iron, it takes 8 iron plates to make one steel plate. If I get some of the metallurgy going on and do it that way, I can get probably at least twice as efficient out of that. Something like that. It's a lot more. The other thing, coal, I would like to go ahead and deal with coal processing too, which gives me the ability to make pellets. The pellets actually are an alternative way of upgrading the charcoal. So you can make charcoal pellets out of charcoal to upgrade it, or you can make carbon out of charcoal to upgrade it. If you go, you basically get an upgrade of the same magnitude either way. I mean, the numbers of inputs and outputs are a little, but you get the same magnitude of upgrade out of it. It's about a 20% increase in net fuel value either way, but the carbon has the additional input of this carbon dioxide and the pellets don't, so that makes the pellets a better deal overall. They're also better for storage because they're much denser. They have, instead of 6 each for these, they've got 30 megajoules, and so while you get fewer of them as you make them, you can accumulate them to a lot larger. You can accumulate a lot more energy with them because they are more dense. And then last, on the green research, prior to just really focusing on automating and getting to the point where we can automate those circuits in research, just for manual doing it, I do want to get solar. Solar is pretty intensive on the green circuit, so I don't know how much of it I will be able to make, but it gives another alternative besides windmills for, I hate to say free power, power that doesn't have so many complicated interactions going on. That's maybe the best way of putting it. So that's going to be, all that stuff is in the near future, probably the next 3 or 4 episodes. I'm going to have to get some more research done. When the stuff that's queued right now finishes, I will go ahead and get up to green research to go ahead and finish that as well. So I'll probably have that by the time the next episode starts. So anyway, that's going to close it for this episode. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.